What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On today's video, we're going to be talking about what a typical practice session looks like for me. And for me, the biggest thing when going into a practice session is PWP, practice with purpose. So going into the session, I already know what I'm going to work on this day. And to me, that's just the biggest thing, practicing with purpose, not just showing up to the bowling alley, throwing a bunch of games. Sure, that can be practice, but for me, I like to really isolate a few things that we're gonna work on, and that's exactly what we're gonna do in today's video. So guys, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. More than half of you guys are not subscribed, and I would really appreciate it if you guys just smash that subscribe button. So on a typical day like today, for my practice session, what I'm gonna be working on today is really two things. And I try to limit myself to two things at the most from what I'm working on, because if you do anything more than that, it's gonna be a lot up here. You're not gonna be really focusing. And then I try for those two things to be very separate things. So, okay, the two things I'm working on. Number one is a lot of the stuff before I even start moving. Kind of like that pre-shot routine. I really wanna work on my, I call them triggers. The stuff that I do before I start moving. So one of the things that I'm doing is making sure that my hand is in the right position every single time. I'm trying to get the ball like at a 45-degree angle like this, making sure that my wrist is come up here close to my stomach, and I wanna make sure I do that every single shot. And then another thing that I've been doing is making sure that I'm getting my shirt out of the way of my armpit. Then the second thing that I'm gonna be working on today is I'm gonna be working on it right from the beginning, right from when I'm warming up, is making sure that that hitch in my swing is not there. Making sure that that swing is nice and low and I'm staying behind the ball. That whole swing is what I'm gonna be working on today's video. So let me know down below in the comments what you guys do when you're practicing with purpose and what your go-to is when you're doing your practice sessions. All right, so we're out on the lanes here and I am completely ice cold. I have not bowled yet. And right from the very first shot in warm up, I'm going to be incorporating these things that we're talking about, my pre-shot routine, making sure that my swing, even from the very beginning, I'm trying to eliminate that hitch that I do. Trying to keep my swing nice and low, nice and hitch free right from the very first shot of practice, and that's how we're going to warm up. All right, so while my first shot isn't going to be a full approach, I'm going to be just walking up to the line. I'm gonna make sure that I'm doing the same thing, really making sure that I get my hand into the right spot and do like a very abbreviated release here. And really we're gonna do that a few times until we get nice and loose, nice and warm before we do our full approach. You know, same thing here, grab the spare ball, you know, really focus on getting my shirt out of the way, get my ball into where that spot is, and really just take it nice and slow. So that spare attempt was like really perfect. Like the swing was right where I want it to be. So the goal is to just try to be able to repeat that when I'm nice and loose. Again, shirt out of the armpit, hand into that spot. Now we focus on that swing. Thanks. All right, the mechanic got me there a little bit. So again, we're gonna do the same thing. Shirt out of the way, hand into the right spot, and go. That's pretty good. And I like that while I do this, I'm also warming up. So every shot you're gonna notice is gonna be a little bit faster tempo. You know, and so everyone's a little different. For me, I'm about 2 shots away from being able to go like full speed, full tempo. But I'm gonna take a little bit longer just because we're really focusing on this here. Same thing, shirt out of the way. Yeah, those last couple shots have been just perfect. right to where I want my backswing to be. Because when my backswing is there, my shots typically end up being a higher quality. See, like that's gonna be a bad one. So we're gonna go look, review, see what I can change to make sure that there's more good shots than bad shots. All right, so that last shot, like we said, just gotta lower that swing a little bit. Keep everything else the same. And repeat a really good shot here. Like that's really good. 10 out of 10 on that shot. My timing was good. My swing was low. I'm gonna say that there was no hitch. I'm gonna go back in and double check. I did all my pre-shot triggers. I don't like to call it a routine. For me, it's pre-shot triggers. I hit all of those. Like if that, to me, that was a 10 out of 10 shot. And I'm gonna go and double check. But like that is what I'm trying to achieve on a shot-to-shot basis. All right, so I'm back. I reviewed that shot off camera. And like I said, that was a 10 out of 10 shot. Everything that I could ever ask for was there on that shot. So now in my practice sessions, before I move on to the next thing, the next topic, my goal is to do 5 shots in a row, executing like that. And then once I achieve those 5 shots in a row, we're gonna move on to the next thing. And then one of the big things that I work on in pretty much every single practice session is spares. And once I do the 5 in a row, even if I have to do it off camera because it might take forever, but once we get the 5 shots in a row that are good, regardless if they strike or not, well executed shots, then we'll move on to spares because that's something that I've been working on like crazy lately. So let's get back on the lanes. All right, so we got 1 in a row. Let's try to make that 2 in a row. Hit all the triggers and go. That's 2 in a row. All right, so now 3 in a row. Again, I'm not too worried about whether they strike or not because I'm not really set up here lined up. More so just worried about my physical execution. Again, hit all the triggers and go. All right, so we're at 3 in a row. And now we're gonna make it 4 here no matter what. Again, hit all my triggers and go. That's a really good shot. A little slow, but that was a really good shot. And of course, at the blower 7-pin. All right, and then this is gonna be the 5th one here in a row. I believe in quality over quantity. So even though my practice sessions aren't very long, the quality of the session is what matters to me. All right, let's make a good one here. All right, so the next thing that I'm gonna work on in my practice sessions, again, practicing with purpose, is spare shooting. Now, just because you can't set up a 10-pin on a full rack doesn't mean that you can't work on your 10 pins. Now, I see a lot of people talking about, oh, just try to pick off the 10 only off the rack, or try to pick off only the 7 off the rack. For me, I don't like practicing like that because that's not realistic. Realistically, you just have to hit the 10 pin. It doesn't matter how you hit it, if you hit it dead center or a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. So for me, I am just trying to hit the 10 pin and pretend that nothing else was there. So even if I just hit the 6 pin to the right, you would have hit the 10 pin if it was up there. So I'm not trying to just pick off the 10 pin. And if I do, great, but if I don't, again, great. So my goal here is to hit 5 10 pins in a row, and then I'm gonna turn it around and try to hit 5 6 pins in a row. So I'm going to my 10 pin spot, and again, focusing on all my triggers, but now we're shooting spares. Like that's gonna be only the 10, but that's not the goal, okay? That's not the goal. I mean, it would be cool if I did it again, but again, it's not the goal. Just trying to hit half of the 6 pin to the right and pretend that the 10 pin was there. That might have hit it. I'm not entirely sure. That might have hit the 10 pin. Looking at that replay, that would have been really close. For the sake of this video, we're just gonna say that we would have made the 10 pin. All right, well, let's see if we can do it again for the 4th straight time. That's hilarious. All right, so 5th and final one here. Again, focusing on all our triggers. Just get the 10 pin however we can. Bang, 5 in a row. That's hilarious. All right, so now we just successfully picked off the 10 pin, 5 shots in a row. Again, guys, the goal was not to do it exactly like this, 5 shots in a row, because I don't believe that's the right way to practice. The right way to practice, in my opinion, is to just hit the 10 pin, however you can. Doing it like this, I mean, I'm impressed by it because I don't typically do it that well, 5 for 5. So now I'm gonna go over to where I shoot my 6 pin spot, and then again, try to do the same thing. Try to hit the 6 pin. And obviously with the 6 pin, you have a little bit more room. You can hit a little bit heavy on the 3 pin side, a little bit heavy on the 10 pin side to the left of the 10 pin, much more room on the 6 pin. And those are typically the 2 spares that I throw my spare ball at, the 10 pin, the 6 pin, and the 6-10 combination. Usually on the 3-6-10 on a house shot, I'll just hook at it. 7 pin, I'll just hook at it. 9 pin, I'll just hook at it because I'm lazy. So whatever you feel is the ones that you use your spare ball for and you need the most practice on, that's what I would use these kind of sessions for. So let's get after the 6 pin now. All right, so now we're gonna go after the 6 pin. So I'm gonna go to my 6 pin spot, draw that invisible line, do our pre-shot triggers, and get after it. All right, so because most of the rack is gone, we're just gonna reset it. And the only reason I'm resetting it is so that we can have a visual of the 6 pin there. So we're gonna go to the 6 pin spot with our feet. Again, draw the line and get after it. Again, we're gonna do the same thing after this shot and reset it. It'd be pretty impressive if you only picked off the 6 pin, but it's not possible. All right, so if I wasn't recording, I would just shoot at this because my goal would be to keep it on the lane and not hit anything. But for the sake of the video and for a visual aid, I am going to reset the rack here. Again, go to the 6 pin spot and get after it. My spare shooting lately has been really good. And it's because I've been doing this here in practice, really committing to my spare game. All right, then one thing that I like to do before I'm done is go back to what I worked on in the beginning and throw a few shots like that before you wrap up the session. And this is perfect because I worked on corner pins today. So here's only the 10 pin. All right, couple more shots here to round out this video. Again, quality over quantity. I feel like my game's finally starting to develop. Thank you guys for your patience while we got there. The journey still afoot. All right, guys, last shot of the video here, and I cannot stress this enough. Quality over quantity when talking about practicing. All right, guys, well, there you have it. There is what a typical practice session looks like for me when I'm coming here to just focus on practicing when I'm not filming. I turned this into a video because I felt like I needed the practice. So I wanted to show you guys kind of like a behind the scenes of what my process looks like. And I cannot stress this enough, guys. Quality of practice over quantity of practice. It is the biggest thing. Start to finish, including all my filming and everything in between, it's like a 30-minute practice session. You know, you come in, work on a few things, solid practice, and get out of there. And to me, there's nothing better than doing that. And thank you guys for joining me in today's video. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe. We're trying to grow things here, and I cannot do that without you guys. Click right here to watch another video. Click right here to subscribe. Till next time.